You ever think, oh man, the world wants us confused? I mean, you see these people one view, these people with another view, all these people fighting with each other. Inside their own view, there's a bunch of other feuds happening. It's like, what do we do? I mean, I would expect my own generation, especially I'm 23, to be quite confused because you enter this world and there's advertisements and there's technology and it's like, what is this stuff? Did this stuff come from aliens? Like, who in the world, who brought us this stuff? And there's a lot of expectations. You gotta be this, you gotta be that. Look at this identity. Oh, look at this person. They look so perfect online. What are they actually in real life? They may be totally different, and everybody's pretentious and acting differently and not necessarily themselves. It's like, who am I supposed to be? Am I supposed to be modeled after somebody else? Because if I'm the outcast, I'm going to be seen as the rebel, and everybody's going to attack me. I mean, this is the reality that we live in, guys. You can expect people to be quite confused, and that's why we need to learn how to navigate it. But there exist many concepts and people in the world, and it's easy to be confused. You can't be blamed in a world of constant bombardment with advertisements and people telling you what to do, how to do it, and what not to do, and so on. Additionally, the amount of advice like this, with people claiming they are right or merely complaining about the problems or offering solutions, usually bragging to you or putting it behind a paywall, potentially scamming you, it being a solution you can't do or it being a solution that's just another potential problem or a waste of your time. So we get stuck, so we give up, so we get addicted, so we crash and we burn. And we feel like maybe there's no solution. What do we do? Well, the answer is simple. It has remained all along. And this is not to say that the solution is just some simplistic nonsense that you should pass off. It's so simplistic, in fact, so natural, that's why it's not talked about or understood in today's world. I'm saying that the answer is nature itself. Oh, this might sound kind of cliche, but the first question that may come to mind is, well, how could that be? What does that mean? Or especially, how am I supposed to apply that in my life? Maybe you have some preconceived notions of what this answer should be, and that's the real reason you're actually confused in this life. For we may even say, life is just another word for nature. So when I say nature is the answer, life is the answer, you're confused in life. What if you're not actually in life, but in an illusion? What you think to be life, but it's not. For instance, why ask, how could nature be, if it already is? It is life itself. Why ask, what does that mean, if nature can't be defined, and therefore can be defined in an infinite amount of ways? Finally, why ask, how am I supposed to apply that in my life, if nature cannot be applied because it is given? See, few will tell you that the answers are already given to you. But even if they do, they may want you to be dependent on them to tell you how so and still what to do. But your mind is your own, is it not? Your body is your own, is it not? Why look for someone to help you when only you can help you? They can certainly assist, but the word consumerism means something for a reason, and a lot of people will say we do live in a consumerist-based world. We fall into its trap, and we can't get out. The key is to know who you are beyond the drink, so you aren't drinking all day. To know that you are in a house, so you aren't in the house all day. To know you are on your phone, so you aren't on your phone all day. We fall into a hypnosis and we don't see the reality outside of us. Somebody could be talking to someone on their phone and that person on their phone will be like, what did you say? Because they weren't paying attention. They put their attention into something else. So where do you put your attention? As David Icke and many other spiritual teachers have said, where you put your attention, your energy goes. And therefore pay attention to what you are paying attention to, because that's what you're feeding, that's what you're giving. And if you're giving something like technology, your time, your energy, your attention, is it really giving back to you? Is it really have love or emotions, or that energy that's going to feed you? If anything, we find out has EMFs and energies that can hurt us, and it gives us dopamine rushes and gives us a false sense of security, a false sense of, oh, somebody's there because they're texting me, but they're not actually there for you. and somebody who calls the police, but the police are minutes away when things happen in seconds. So these are just some examples, okay? This very distinction of knowing when you're on your phone, when you're not, is to know what isn't real and what is a lie. So you know what is real and what is the honest truth. We often set our own limits. If you see the world from the point of view of nature for 1 second, the world consists of many minds, many people, many ways to look at the world, and you see how it's all connected, and therefore how everything is dependent on one another. With this worldview, you see both yourself and your place within the world. In such a way, you won't be quick to assume you know one way or another, and you will approach things with a much greater view or knowledge. This is what it means to be called holistic, whether you're talking about medicine or a worldview or an action. Okay, by default from this position, out goes the identities, the politics, the sciences and religions of all kinds. You assume these to be important to you, but from the view of nature, they are, but they also aren't. And to see this polarity, you may say, among other polarities, like you and nature itself, will help you realize what makes them actually inseparable. Because we see these things as separate, like you and nature, but rather they're connected. In other words, the fact everybody has different opinions is a beautiful thing because it's what makes us unique in who we honestly are ourselves. This is why we say we have natural rights that bind us together, that creates an equality among us, or natural laws that do this. And so, in the same way, all the different religions don't need to fight each other if they accepted each other's mere presence, even if they totally disagreed. They are, in fact, all products of nature. For even if someone claims to have the truth, would not the truth speak for itself and rise above on its own over time? Why must we, as humanity, try and attempt to create truth if truth is ever present? Asking and understanding this very thing will help us understand what I mean when I say nature is the answer. It's the answer because we cast away the subjective bias and ego that is our own mind projecting onto reality. And this is where we get the confusion. It's the answer, nature, because we were born of the world, it brought us to where we are, it keeps us alive, and we owe it our respect, not our dominion and separation over it. Nature creates beautiful paintings effortlessly every day. The sun makes us sleepy, the ocean waves make us calm, and these are all always here for you. But we may just want to look at all the bad things in life, and rather, if you open your mind, you can see that the bad teaches you the good teaches you the bad. These are all just causes. They don't have to be seen as problems or solutions. This whole world, you having free will, having your mind, you can learn from everything, and you can master the world rather than say the world is oppressing you. And so, some claim that the perceived problems of nature make it not the answer, such as the poisons which are your choice and ignorance to touch, or the storms which you know about, can be geoengineered, which you can prevent damage to the man-made attachments you shouldn't hold so dearly and are able to predict, and with nature's authority simply showing itself time to time. So why attack the inevitable when you can have mastery and flow? Those who claim to love nature, yet still take play in the man-made affairs, don't realize the play that they are doing, and therefore they make life to be the illusion they cast in a shadow of themselves. Nature merely gives them their own karma or effects to their own actions, and those who do see nature are able to see the patterns and effects enough to realize that they can work with nature by listening to it. So this is the key. Not imposing upon it or figuring out the best ways to manipulate it to our benefit, but rather finding out the best ways to work with it, with the given, for the benefit of all. And this is to say that we are perfect and don't need to try and perfect nature if we just learn to let go without fear or insecurity. To say that order will manifest itself if we stop obsessing over our own ideals of order. And see, for thousands of years, and still in this generation, because it's sort of a trauma that keeps repeating, people think they need to have a grip on reality, and think they need to know everything, or think they need to have a purpose, and they need to go have a job, and they need to do this and that and this, and that this is a problem, and this is a worry. How much of this is actually just in our minds because other people do it, or because we've been programmed into thinking that's how it should be? That's a question for you to figure out, because that really puts everything on its head in your life. See, the problem was our own lack of trust, our needs that weren't really needs. The idea that we should indoctrinate our kids into a system that isn't supportive of one's nature, thus creating a multi-generational lack of care for nature. And you see this. The schooling system is based on the Prussian schooling model system, which does not respect the individual thinking for themselves and critically thinking in particular. And so to see this as a problem, if we don't, that's a problem in itself, for whom wishful positive thinking alone will not solve. The negative isn't to be ignored, and nor does it need to be seen as negative. The positive isn't to be ignored, and nor does it need to be seen as positive. This isn't New Age thought. This revelation doesn't give me any new title or designation. This doesn't change who I fundamentally am. This isn't spiritual or even having to be said as natural. For if it is truly natural, it is effortless. It is forever existent and universal. But who am I to say? Find out for yourself indeed, for yourself, if you truly will. And that's it. I'm not telling you what to think. Many people want to tell you what to think. So if you want to get out of that world of confusion where people are telling you what to think, start thinking for yourself. Now this sounds pretty self-evident, but you're like, how do I do that? It can be as simple as journaling. Think about the practices that allow you to use your own mind if you feel like you are being held back by other minds and other parts of society. Start establishing your own right to this world of nature, which you absolutely can be a part of. Nature welcomes you with open arms for this experimentation that humans can do, which is why they've been able to create mass conflict and bloodshed in history, is because nature allows humans to experiment in such ways to even destroy their own species. We owe it to nature that we feed ourselves poisons every day, but yet we're still breathing. I find it funny because we owe a lot more to it than we actually give to it. But once we recognize that sense of gratitude and respect, as many people do with their God in Christianity or other religions, they start to see, okay, I can work with this reality. I can make it work. And I can give myself faith in the process, whether by reading this text or by understanding some universal truths, some natural laws, some age-old wisdom. People get into Stoicism. That's helping a lot of people too mentally. I meet a lot of people who are studying that, and of course I talk about Taoism. I wrote a book about that. You can feel free to check it out. That goes deep into this. And, I even talk about the simple idea of being honest, applying that to our life. Are we just honest all the time, or are we not being honest, all the time? Because if we have principles, we say we want honesty, we say we want to be healthy, how much do we really follow through on those principles? Might be the reason why we're confused, because we say we want one thing, but we do the other, and then we expect it. It's like, well, you can't really, because you're contradicting yourself. You're hypocritical. You're doing things you're not seeing that you're doing. You're unconscious. But if you become more conscious by journaling, by recognizing what's in your environment, then you know what you're doing, and because you have knowledge, you're no longer confused. So becoming more conscious, and this is why some people journal before bed, this is why people have gratitude, practice before bed or after they wake up or whatever. All these different practices are developed for that individual to just get in tune with themselves, prayer, meditation, in tune with the world that they live in, because that's so important in a world where you have so much externalization, so much coming at you. There needs to be that time of reflection. And that's why I say the number one step, or at least a very simple way to say a return to nature, is to simply take a step back. And you cannot move forward before taking a step back, because if notice there's a cliff in front of you. You notice there's a bunch of, roadblocks ahead of you. It might help to take a step back so you can see where you're going to go before you go there. And that's what I'm saying, because change and flow will ever happen. If you're on that river, things will always keep moving. You can't stop the flow. But you can turn around for a second. You can hold on to the rock for a second and try to adjust and see where you gotta go. And you might have to, especially in today's world, taking that moment to step back before you move forward again. And then you'll become more conscious of what you have to do. Thank you very much for watching. Go to theliberator.us, send us your article, I'll turn it into a video for you. Thanks for watching.